Hiring managers of Reddit, what was your most WTF is wrong with this person moment you've had during an interview? I once had a candidate for an intermediate level analyst brag during an interview that he used to work other jobs and play poker while working his primary office job. For example, for about 2 weeks before he was caught and got fired from both jobs. He would take long lunches. No one knew where he went between 10:30 and 1:30. Turns out he had gotten a job making pizzas at the next door pizza restaurant and worked the lunch rush. He also bragged about playing poker at work constantly. This was in the late 2000s, while online poker was still in its boom. He bragged these things to me as if I, a relatively young professional at the time, would think he was cool. Or maybe he thought it demonstrated his ability to multitask and still get his job done. I have no idea. Either way, we did not extend him an offer. Had a candidate who came in and said how hot my admin was and asked if she was single or open to Freaky Fridays. Me, I see you managed a vegetarian restaurant. Interviewee, what? Emmett says here you managed a vegetarian restaurant. I guess I did write that. Not really though. My girlfriend had an art exhibition and I organized the sandwiches for the opening. They were vegetarian. This was a candidate that was otherwise pretty impressive seeming and had been among the favorites for a quite sought after position. The interview had even gone quite well up until this point. Met him later at a party. He had no memory of me. This kid, probably 18, 20, started picking his nose, like knuckle deep, and digging for gold in the middle of his food service job interview. Wrapped that up real quick and didn't hire him. I interviewed a gal once, and while we were talking, I was looking over her resume. Please note that English is her first language or else this wouldn't have humored me so much. Her mission statement on her resume was as follows. Along with my detail-oriented and organizational skills, I will bring encourage team to work cooperatively and creativity to provide an understanding the visual aspects of our work. This was for an admin position at a law firm. Not sure what the visual aspects of our work entailed in this position. Honestly, I read it over about 5 or 6 times. Worried that I was having a stroke, so I didn't really hear much of anything she said during the interview. I haven't been able to make sense of it, no matter how many times I read it. I actually cut it out of her resume and have it sitting on my desk some 15 years later. Too long didn't read, she was a lazy liar. Hiring a business intelligence analyst. There are a variety of ways to get into this profession. I'm open to many of them. Frankly, if you have a good head on your shoulders and know even basic SQL, I can probably work with you, though lately I've had to get more picky as our projects have become more complex. This woman is mid-40s, boisterous personality, and seems like she'd be a good organizational fit. The problem is she keeps lying, but only halfway. Do you know SQL? Oh yes. I have years of experience with it. Great. So take a look at this code. This is the sort of thing we do. What's this? For some reason, though, the most egregious lie that stands out in my head with her was when she commented, when I suggested she not take a particular route to the train station, because it was dark and potentially unsafe. Also, I was headed to the same station, and did not wish to commute with her, that she had a black belt, and had practiced martial arts for years. Oh, cool. What discipline? I don't remember. FFS. Pathological lies are a trip. She's long since gone, but we had one where I work. She had stories about how she was dating a pro sports player, had dated some pop music star, had a massive cattle ranch, had a 6-figure second job, etc. She'd get pissed if you expressed any kind of disbelief. Hiring for a senior dev position. Had a telephone interview and she seemed confident and competent, so I flew her down for an on-site interview. She calls not me, but the front desk reception, and says she can't drive in a big city and needs a car to pick her up, and she refuses to get the rental car we reserved before Uberlift. Call is transferred to me, and I tell her to take the train Atlanta. Martineau, she says. Too scary. I tell her to go to the taxi stand and take that. Nope, afraid of taxes. She wants a corp limo to pick her up and nothing else will do. She is adamant. I put her on hold. Have a chat with my boss, who says just send her home. She's too much work if she can't even handle this. I tell her thank you for taking the time to fly down, but not even our own VPs get that treatment, and to go ahead and change your ticket to fly home. Now, she then starts telling me she will take a taxi, etc. I said please, don't bother, it will be a waste of everyone's time. Thank you. Goodbye. Not once when setting up her travel plans did she say she needed assistance getting from the airport. It was explained to her she would pick up a rental car at the airport. She was fine with it. No idea WTF she was thinking, but ain't nobody got time for that nonsense. We had a shortlisted candidate come for a campus interview. This usually includes meeting with the dean, a long interview with the full hiring committee, a formal meeting with the department chair, dinner with the hiring committee, a formal job talk, 1-hour academic lecture, teaching a sample undergrad course, and meeting some students, as well as a campus tour. During the job talk, he kept flashing the pink satin liner of his suit jacket in the direction of one of our openly gay grad students. Everyone noticed. Later, he proceeded to get trashed during the meet greet with the students at a local bar, and confided all of the dirt about his current department and overshared the status of his rocky relationship with a grad student back at his home university. A big no-no. Even though it happens sometimes. The next morning sealed the big fat no. A grad student usually volunteers and is compensated to drive the candidate back to the airport. This person kept trying to persuade the openly gay grad student to drive him instead, even though another student female already had the task assigned to her. He didn't get an offer. When she listed all of her ex-boyfriends that currently work there, and said she couldn't wait to see the look on their faces when she showed up to work. This was in the first 3 minutes of the interview, so I wasn't even close to offering the job yet. I cut the interview right there and sent her on her way. This was about 3 weeks ago. We had a woman who works at the generic retail big box store across town wanting to transfer to our store of the same name because it's closer to her house. She showed up for the interview wearing a faded shirt from a local redneck bar, complete with rebel flag, cut-off jeans, and flip-flops. During the interview she proceeded to talk shit about 6 different managers associates by name from her current store. She cussed during the interview and kept telling us more and more about the people she didn't like. Do people not realize that if we hear them talking shit about them, that we know she'll do it to us too, and at least dress for an interview? I set up an interview for an acquaintance's nephew with a company looking to hire 30 college students for summer work. The nephew's major in the line of work this company performed seemed to mesh perfectly, and I knew the hiring manager personally, so it seemed like a great fit. A couple weeks later the acquaintance emails asking about the job, so I hit up my hiring manager friend and the conversation went something like this. Me, hey, how'd the round of hiring go? Our great. Needed to fill 30 spaces and only had to do 31 interviews to fill them. Me, oh cool. So was Paul X one of them? Oh him. Yeah well. UHH. He was naked during the interview so we declined. Me, what? Are you serious? I find it hard to believe he would show up to an interview nude. Oh well, it was a Skype interview. And when we brought up his video feed he was laying in bed nude. Me, oh. Well, maybe he thought you couldn't see him. Maybe he thought it was just an audio meeting. Oh, we told him we could see him, and he said sorry, then covered up with a sheet. We asked if he wanted to reschedule, and he said no, he was good. So yeah, we decided to pass. Sorry, Paul. I've had 2 separate cases where people were so confident that they had the job that they botched the interview. On one of these, I wanted to tell the candidate to go out and come back in again, because he was one of 2 very good choices and his arrogance put my team off. They thought the other candidate would be a better fit. Hiring for a customer support role. Explained to candidate on pre-interview email how she would need to sign in at our reception kiosk and register herself. Get name tag sorted. Then the hiring manager me would be informed and would come out to the lobby to get her. 15 minutes before interview time, I hear a god almighty jangly noise and see a woman repeatedly trying to open the locked door. And at one point, Uses her hands to beat the door and wave at people inside. I open the office door. Ask her how we can help. Find out she's the candidate we are meant to interview, and she never read instructions. She lost out on the role there, and then but we still met with her for about 10 minutes. We interviewed 3 other people that day and none had problems with interview etiquette. Consider subscribing if you enjoyed this video, and if you want to see more of Reddit Universe,